It's been a while since I charted Bitcoin, so I thought I'd just take a look at this and kind of show you how I go about charting Bitcoin. So we're just starting from a blank canvas right now. So the first thing I want to note is the very obvious trend line. So we're just going to draw this from tip to tip. And notice where I'm exactly drawing this. So instead of actually connecting this tip, I decided to connect this one instead. I also decided to catch the top of this massive downtrend. I caught this tip, and I actually caught the movement before we broke out of this. So that's where I'm catching it. And then if we were following this trend, we would have said right at this point, we might have been oversold because we didn't necessarily go back to retest this trend line. So at this point, you could say that we were a little bit oversold. And then you can see that we bounced back pretty quickly. And then also note that this trend line is also where we bounced off to have this massive rally right here. And then we had something that looked like a double top, which looked pretty bearish. So we're just going to draw that in right there. And then note that this is also where we had support, right on this move right here. And then there's also one other trend line that's a little bit more hidden. So we're going to have to go all the way back here to draw this trend line. You can see exactly what this is catching right here. It catches this top, catches this top. And if you see that, this is actually a head and shoulders right here. That's the left shoulder, that's the head, that's the right shoulder. And then it goes off into a more broad pattern here. So it's a head and shoulders within a head and shoulders. And then you can see it also catches this tip right here, top, and that top. So the point where you could say that we actually broke out of this downtrend. Now this is a pretty strong trend line right here. It has several points of contact. So right around here, zoom in, that's essentially where we broke out of this trend. So right here, that's when we broke out of this trend. Now look where we are right now. We are falling and we're kind of rebounding off this trend line. So do we fall below this or do we just bounce off of this? That's the big question. Introduce some support trend lines and resistance trend lines. So when I look at support, I'm definitely paying attention to this right here. So this area right around 29,000, you can see we have like a triple touch. So 1, 2, 3, and then we have a touch right here. And then once we broke past this point, we had this massive rally. So I'm definitely looking at 29,000 to be a very, very strong support. Let's look at another strong support here. I would say maybe this area right here. So it catches this southern knife right here. It catches this support. And this is like a cup right there before we went into this massive rally. It catches this top and this top. So we're looking at this 42,000 area to be pretty decent support. But if we break underneath this, then we will kind of lose this shorter trend. So now we're going to chart what we're doing right now. So what we're doing right now is looking like this. So we're currently in a upwards trend channel. Notice where I'm drawing these trend lines. So I know now it looks a little bit complicated, but I'm catching the top of this movement right here before we had this sharp fall. I'm catching this top and this top. And with this bottom trend line, I'm just kind of catching where this double bottom happened. So you can see right there. Now let's introduce the moving averages. Now maybe I want to readjust this bottom trend line. So I could do something like this instead. So now you see that I'm catching the bottom of this massive green bar, and I'm catching the bottom of this, the base, not including the wicks. And this is probably going to eventually meet up with the 50-day moving average. If we keep moving and treading along this way, then eventually the bottom of this trend line will meet up with the 50-day moving average. So this bottom trend line, there's a few ways you could draw. I mean, you could even go with the wicks right here. Say that we could fall all the way down here. But I prefer using the bodies just because these wicks are more reacting to bad news or whatever. Because if you think about Bitcoin, it's mostly driven by news and technicals. So what I'm paying attention to the most is just this massive green candle here, and I'm using the base of this green candle as my bottom trend line. And then pretty much the base of this fall right here, if I'm going by these, the base of these candles right. So that's my trend line right now that I have drawn. So if at any time we fall underneath this 50-day moving average, which is right around that support line that I was talking to you guys about, right around 42,000, that's where I think Bitcoin gets a little bit hairy. So maybe we'll have another rally and then we'll test the top of this trend line. And another thing I do want to point out is here in this recent move right here, let's just see what it is. It's like a $6,000 move. Actually, maybe more than that. Yeah, this went all the way up to 48,000. So yeah, that's almost a $10,000 move. So we had about a $10,000 move, and look where we rejected. We rejected off the 200-day moving average. So let's see if we go and test that 200-day moving average again. If at any time we do break above the 200-day moving average, and then we bounce off this prior resistance trend line, and we start moving back up, then I think that's pretty bullish for Bitcoin. So that's my bull case for Bitcoin and what the chart will look like. Now, the bear case is if we break underneath this 50-day moving average, which is starting to intermingle with the 100-day moving average. So we could easily break below both of these. If we break below both of these and we fall below this trend channel, well then, let's see. I'm going to have to zoom out here to kind of see where we could potentially fall. Now, if I'm picking a place, I would first see if we could retest this area right here. The reason why I'm saying this area right here is that it's the start of this massive move right here. Now you can see that we had this massive fall, and then right here we have this huge green candle. So I'm just going to zoom in. So yeah, you see that huge green candle that took us all the way up here. So I'm looking at that to be support, which also coincides with this wick right here that we drew. So this wick is basically saying we fell all the way down here, but it got bought up, and then that's where we closed at the end of the day. So where is this area? It's about 34,000. So I'm looking at that to be pretty good support if we break underneath this trend channel. Now, if we do break underneath this 34,000 area, then maybe we could go all the way down here to 29,000. And then we'll see a full close of this prior head and shoulders. So this prior head and shoulders, we didn't see a full close. So a full close would have just been this shoulder right here, this head, and then a right shoulder that will close all the way down to 29,000. So we'll see how this plays out. But that's basically my case for Bitcoin, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video.